Hello and namaste. स्वागत छ कार्यक्रम के आज घर मै तपाई यतिखेर हेर्दै हुनुहुन्छ लाइभ कान्तिपुर टेलिभिजन HD मा र कार्यक्रम आउने गर्दछ एभ्री डे एक्सेप्ट सैटरडेज 12:30 to 1:30 लाइभ तपाईको टेलिभिजन स्क्रिनमा र आज पनि कार्यक्रम के आज घर मैमा हामी उपस्थित भइसकेका छौं म दिपाञ्जली अनि सागरिका साथमा छिन् र हामीसँग एकदमै स्पेशल गेस्ट पनि हुनुहुन्छ र गेस्टको बारेमा भन्नुपर्दा आज के टपिकमा कुराकानी गर्छौं त भनेर सोचिरहनु भएको होला र आजको टपिक एकदमै इन्ट्रेस्टिङ छ इट्स रिलेटेड टु भोकेसनल education जुन हामी भन्छौं सिपमूलक तालिमहरु भन्छौं नि हामी सो यो रिलेटेड रहेको छ सो यस सागरिका
yes र अब हाम्रो शो के आज घरमा इज एक्चुअली अ कम्प्लिट होम अफेयर्स शो र अब हामी नेपाली भन्ने बित्तिकै वी आर भेरी वेल नोन फर आवर हस्पिटालिटी हाम्रो वेलकमिङ नेचर हाम्रो लभिङ जुन त्यो वेलकमिङ नेचर हुन्छ त्यसको लागि पनि हामी चिनिन्छौं हैन अल ओभर द वर्ल्ड र आज पनि हाम्रो गेस्टसँग चाहिँ हामी यसकै बारेमा कुराकानी गर्नेछौं वी विल बी टकिङ अबाउट भोकेशनल एजुकेसन वी विल बी टकिङ अबाउट हस्पिटालिटी अबाउट किचन सेफ्टी एन्ड व्हाट नट र अहिले चाहिँ म हाम्रो गेस्टलाई पहिला इन्ट्रोड्युस गराउन चाहन्छु आजको हाम्रो गेस्ट वेल ही इज एन expert in vocational education for more than 25 years. He's an expert in hospitality and tourism for 15 years now, and he's also a specialist in multimedia and social media and in marketing, and he has a broad experience with the management of processes, quality assurance, internship, setting up and maintaining networks, and also he's an e-learning ambassador. So yes, without any further ado now, I would like to welcome our guest, Mr. Martin Huizina, all the way from Netherlands. So, Mr. Martin, welcome to our show. We're very happy to have you here.
Likewise, I'm very glad to be your guest. Thanks for the invitation.
So I think I gave a little brief introduction about you. So why don't you tell us about yourself? You know, how long have you been here in Nepal? You know, just tell us something about yourself.
Okay, this is my second time now in Nepal. The first time I was here in March around Holi Festival, so I was totally covered with paint also. I went into the festival. I supported a vocational training center here for about 12 days in order to upscale the quality of education, the quality of how they give their classes, how they perform their lessons, didactical skills. And now I am training about 15 to 20 teachers to give them some tools to make teaching fun, because teaching is supposed to be fun, right? If you want to attract youngsters into education, you have to add some humor every now and then into your classes, and also serve several techniques in teaching. So that's what I've been doing here now for the last 12 days. And unfortunately, I'm going home tomorrow night. So yeah, this is the reason for my coming here. And actually, I started this job as a hobby. I've gone a long road when it comes to my experience in hospitality. I started at the age of 12. I want to become a cook at that time. I want to become the most famous cook in the world. And already my first career change was when I was about 17 years old. Because I went to the primary education, vocational education level in the Netherlands. And after 4 years, I graduated, and I had to go into military service. And after military service, I got another job, but I still had in my mind that I want to become a very good cook, you know, the best chef in the world. And my first application already showed me a different direction, because I went to this restaurant and I applied for a job as a waiter, or as a cook, sorry. And the owner, the entrepreneur said, well, you're way too decent to become a cook, you know, you have communication skills, you are a representative, you're a nice looking guy. I can offer you a job, but not as a cook. I can give you a job as a waiter. So that's how I started as a waiter in, I think in 1982 or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said that you always wanted to be the best chef of the world. So I am also a kind of you know, homemaker, and I love doing kitchen stuffs and all. I want to ask you a very homely question, and regarding to our show also, the question quite matches. It's about the safety measures in the kitchen. Since you also work in kitchen a lot, you enjoy cooking. Can you tell us something about your some kitchen safety measures for our viewers as well?
Yeah, you know, I think first of all, trust in your instincts, and trust also about the knowledge that your father or mother passed on to you, because I think these are warning systems that every person has in it. For instance, if I check the quality of a product in the refrigerator, I use at least 2, 3 of my senses. I use my nose to smell whether the product is good or not, and I use my eyes to check the quality of the product. You know, most of the time when a product smells good and it looks good, then it's good to be eaten. So these are, in regarding to safety measures, the first techniques that you have to be trained on. And this goes along with your breeding, because your parents tell you, you know, this is not good, you eat it anymore. And also, you can read on certain packages what is the expiry date.
Exactly.
Easily, the expiry date. And also, the basic rule, if you have cooked food, that if you heat it up above 65 degrees Celsius, and you know, when it boiled, then you kill the germs. And if you cook it for 5 minutes, then all the germs that might be dangerous for you are killed already. So also our preparing techniques, using cooking techniques or using acids, because germs also don't like an acid environment. These are standard things you already learn, not only at a cooking school, but also I think when you grow up, by reading books about it, and also learning from your parents in this matter.
Exactly. So these, I think these are the very, very important kitchen measures that should be, you know, followed by everyone. So
and also these are something that, you know, we know about this, but then somehow we neglect it, you know.
Yeah.
And I liked how you said about his, you know, if it looks good, if it smells good, then it's obviously good for us, and vice versa. So, and also
that also avoids food poisoning sometimes, you know. Unfortunately, we may have food poisoning just because we see the food products a kind of, you know, when we see it with the eyes, it may not look good and it may not smell good, but still we attempted cooking, and at the end of the day we get food poisoning.
Yeah. So, you know, if you don't trust it, throw it away, or feed it to, you know, the animals, because that's maybe they have a different germ household than you human. We have to be careful about this, because there are a lot of diseases that can be spread by, you know, wrong food, and it can kill you. So there's a standard rule, you know, if you cook some food and you want to keep it in a refrigerator, maximum for 3 days, no longer. Because if you keep it for 3 days in a good cooler, between like 4 and 8 degrees Celsius, not warmer, you can keep it for 3 days. So in a private kitchen, you don't you don't label all the products, but in a professional kitchen, you should label the products that you have produced with a date that it was produced, and automatically then you write on this label how long you can keep it, for maximum 3 days. So expiry date of prepared products in the kitchen is 3 days, and then throw it away.
Definitely, that's a very good tip as well. And you know, something very interesting about you was how you started at the age of 12. You wanted to be the best chef in the world. Now, what happens in the context of Nepal is we are always giving priority to academics. You know, we want to finish our studies, our high school, and then graduate, and then our masters, and then we start seeking for jobs, or then we start looking for opportunities. But then in your case, you know, you started with all this vocational education and all the skills that you had, and then you worked your way all up to, you know, university lecturers and all that. So how does that work in Netherlands, or how is that system working?
Okay, if you look at our educational systems, I think it's one of the best education systems in the world. We can be proud on that, I think, in our country. There are more things we can be proud of, but especially at our education system. But don't forget, it took us also about more than 100 years to find out what the right system was, right? And it constantly evolves. But I think we are looking for talents, and everybody has talents. Different talents. Every person has a talent that you have to develop, and most of the time we are only focusing on the things that we are not good at. But if we should change our system in focusing on the things that we are good at, then we can develop the things that we are already good at, and then everybody has the feeling of success. Let me give you an example of our Dutch education system. In the last year of primary school, every student has to do a test about math, about language, about the ability to learn, and the maximum outcome of this test is you can gain 550 points. These points section is a longly developed test by a national organization that is really capable in defining what are the learning abilities for a certain person are at that moment. Because, you know, you evolve, you learn, you grow wiser. So this is just a moment take. Based on this moment take, and also based on the advice of the teacher of the primary school, they will guide you to the process of making the next step in your educational career. So if you have the highest point, then the next step in your secondary education is going to preparatory university education. If you have less points, then you go to general higher education. If you have less points than that system, then you go to general middle education. And if you have, let's say, 530 points, then they advise you to go to vocational education. This is the first layer of education after primary school. The university preparatory program takes 6 years. The higher educational common education takes 5 years. The middle education program takes 4 years, and vocational program also takes 4 years. So secondary education is minimum 4 to 6 years. After that, there's a next step. Then you go to secondary vocation. If you go to the highest level, you have the preparatory university education. After that, you have direct access to the university. If you have the higher common education, you have direct access to a bachelor program. If you have the middle, then you have the access also to higher vocational education. And if you have the lower vocational education, then you have access to the middle level. So you can go the way up to the ladder. You can go from low to high, but also the other way around.
Yeah.
So if at the first year of your preparatory university level is your grades are not really good, then you are in counseling with the school, advise you to step down one level. And I don't understand why everybody is so focused on this academic level. Because you know where the money is. The money is not in academic level, the money is in vocational level. Because the cork where the economy is floating on is the vocational level. The small and medium enterprises are the heart and the engine of the economy of a country. So instead of focusing on academic level, I think it would be wiser for a country to invest in vocational education, because that's where the future are. And don't forget, if you take a measurement on average on every society, there are a few people at the top, they have the intelligence and the capability. But what is the biggest group? That is not the top. The biggest group is the group at the ground floor, or at the bottom we say. But bottom, I hate the word bottom, because these are the people that make the economy grow. These are the people that are doing the normal jobs. And also, we should not build borders into a system or limitations. No, we should build encouragement in our education system. Because, hey, the proof is sitting here. I started in primary education level, not because of my test, because my test outcome at that time was also about 538 points, so second best. And my advice was go to preparatory higher education or university education. But my parents asked me, hey, what do you want to do? I said, I want to become the famous chef. So my parents listened to me. What was my passion, what was my ambition at that time? Instead of that I was pushed by my parents to go for the highest level as possible, everybody has to go to his own route in life and choose his own route in education. Because if I see the difference between how I was trained and schooled compared to a person with an academic degree, I think my path was like this. So during this path, I gained loads of experience, loads of different skills, attitude and knowledge I gained through this longer route. That's why if I would apply for a job, hopefully, in a certain sector, and I will tell people what I've done, I know for sure that I will win it from an academic person. Because this academic person might have the knowledge in his mind, but he doesn't know how to transfer this knowledge into action quite often. So I'm grateful for the road that I have taken in this, and I advise every young person, find out what your passion is. And the passion is the engine where you make your right decisions on. Follow your heart.
Yes, so how do you think that the vocational education system in Nepal should be uplifted, since you have been working here for certain kind of programs and vocational educational programs in Nepal? So how do you think should be, the government should work out, or the concerned authorities should work out regarding the uplifting of
I think there's also responsible for the sector itself. the vocational education is an education form that has a right of existence based on the grace of the sector. The sector should take the hand and say, okay, we're gonna, together with the educational world, we're gonna develop this vocational education. Because if I want to start a vocational school and I have no connection to the sector, what I'm doing? Because who knows the best how the job is done? Not the schools, the sector knows. So as soon as the sectors, like the hospitality sector and the tourism sector, get involved with the educational work, then you have a platform to both work together on the quality of education. Like in my country. It is the companies that decide how the curriculum looks like. What should we teach to our students? So we are just doing what the companies is asking from us. And of course, we give them some other skills, language skills, math skills, but also sometimes teach them to be a nice person, or teach them to be a civilian, a proper civilian, follow the rules and the rights. But when it comes to the profession, I think it's essential for vocational education that it is a co-production between the sector and the schools. And not like now here, also in bachelor programs, okay, they might sniff on the sector, they might smell the sector, but they're really not involved in the sector as, doing internships. Some of the schools are doing it, but I also mean that the people from the school have to go out and go into the sector, and the people from the sector has to go out and has to go into the school. Guest lectures from companies into schools will teach students, hey, this is the real world outside. And also, if you want to become a vocational education institute, take people from the practice as a teacher. Because I first worked in the industry, and after that I became a teacher. And I'm still in connection with the sector because I follow the sector, I see what's happening, I'm still connected to a lot of unions, societies, and I go to the sector every day to see what's happening over there. Because if I see something new with development in the sector, then I see, hey, I can transfer into learning material for my students.
Exactly.
That's a long answer, right?
No, but it's very,
but it's very informative, and we all should learn, because most of the time we always take the vocational education as the last option, and it has been being that way since a long time, isn't it, Sagarika?
Yes, definitely. And also, and I hope a lot of young students, a lot of young people, in fact even parents, understand that you should be driven by your passion. That is your engine to take you forward, and you should work on your skills and something that you can enhance and take your life forward in that direction. And I definitely think that you all should also start thinking about vocational education. Now, talking about you, you have a very colorful career in your journey, in your professional journey. You have been a band manager, you've been a chef, and now you're also a university lecturer. So tell us about your journey, your professional journey, because even off air we were talking about your 7-year cycle that you were talking about. I'm sure it would be very interesting for our viewers as well.
Yeah, if you could just talk about it in a detailed thing, because we want to know the entire 7-year cycle also. That is quite interesting, and it's really hit me also.
Like I said, I started in the hospitality sector, and I applied for a job as a cook, but it turned out to be a waiter. And in 7 years I moved up the ladder from student waiter up to, let's say, head waiter, or how we say in French language, the maître. That means the big boss or the big chef in a hotel environment or a restaurant environment. And so I choose every 3 to 4 years, the first 2 years, I choose another company to gain my experience. So I worked in a company, and after 2 years, I say, hey, I know how this company works. I moved on to the next company. At one point, I was working in a restaurant that belonged to one of the 26 best restaurants in my country. They were mentioned in the Guinness Book of Records with their largest collections of wines and spirits. And I was selling bottles of wine at that time of 800 euros per bottle, or 800 guilders at that time. And this was really top level. And in this top level, I learned that, okay, if I want to be the best and I want to be at the top, I have to be aware that I have to develop an eye for detail. Still, up now today, if I walk into a restaurant, the first thing that I do is I look up in the ceiling and check whether all the lights are burning. If there's a flower on the table with a vase, I put my finger in to check whether there's water in. These stupid things, I go to the toilet and see if the toilet is clean. Sometimes nobody's looking, I put my finger under the table to sense if it's clean. But this is eyes for detail. That's what the sector taught me. So I became very successful in my job as a waiter and as a sommelier. So I was selling nice wine. I was offering people good service. You know, they came into my restaurant and I always had the menu in my hand. And I'm just telling the clients or the customers or the guests, because I prefer guests, I have this wonderful menu for you today, accompanied with this wine, telling them nice stories. We had an a la carte card, but we never used it because I was always selling menus. So I had different forms of companies that I worked for, you know, low-class formulas, middle-class formulas, and high-class formulas. And then I started writing articles in magazines, hospitality magazines, about hospitality, about friendliness, that, okay, you cannot play to be friendly, you have to be friendly, because it has to be in your veins and in your heart. If you don't like to serve another, you have nothing to do in the hospitality industry. So for me, these were the learning things that I was taught by my masters, by my role models. I had role models in my life, that very famous waiters, they were really people I looked up to, and hey, I want to become like him, you know? And then I was writing these articles in magazines, and then all of a sudden the phone rang, and the former principal of my school called me. And he said, hey Martin, I've reading your articles lately, you became a nice, decent little young man compared to the time you were in our school, you know, 25, 15 years ago. Would you like to come over and have a talk with me? And I went over there and he said, okay, you know, we've been following you already a while and we need guys like you in our school. Are you interested to become a teacher? I said, hey, I'm becoming a teacher. I'm an hospitality man. How I'm going to change into a teacher? And then they said, okay, we're going to offer you a job. You can think about it. We take over your salary from the industry, so you won't go back in salary. And instead of the 25 holidays that you have now, in educational world we have 60 holidays. So it's up to you. That was in 1990, and I just became father of a beautiful son named Nicky J. And then I decided, well, maybe it's time to do another career move. And I said to the principal, okay, I'm going to take your offer, and I'm going to try it for a year. And I want to try it, and if I like it, I might go to school again. So after a year, it was a very fun job. I was very taken well by the team. Also my formal teachers changed into my colleagues now. Yeah. And this was really odd sometimes, you know, because I was trained to say to them, address them with sir. And then they say, no, but stop with sir. Now we're equal. You're my colleague. Just call me by my first name. Wow. It took me 5 years to get used to that. You understand? Because I was so programmed to use the basic standard rules of politeness. And then, okay, I became a teacher. And I went back to university. And it took me about 4 years to get my degree as a teacher. And I then was confronted with subjects I never had before in my education, such as math, such as physics, such as chemistry, such as learning how to teach, didactic skills, psychology. So a lot of range of different subjects and parts of a program. For me, so interesting. I was really soaking this knowledge. And it took me about 4 years to get my degree as a teacher. And I think I was one of the first students in this program that gained an A+ for his final thesis. Okay. What I did, I took the initiative to take 15 similar students from my graduation program, and we did a program in England. Made in Holland it was called. So we organized our examination at the Birmingham College of Food and Creative Studies in Birmingham, and then I got my degree as a teacher. And at that time, after this degree, I said, okay, now I know how to teach. And after a year, I said, okay, I'm up for a new challenge because the 7 years were coming. Then after a certain moment, I accepted a job in the Caribbean. That's about 6,000 kilometers away from home. Okay. At that time, I had a house, I had my own property, I already had 2 kids, and of course I'm married. And then I decided, okay, this is a challenge. I sold my house, I hired a big container, put my household in the container, my car in the container, wrote my letter of resignation, and I brought it to my principal. Hey, I'm going to quit. And he was really shocked because he didn't see it coming. And then one day before I left, he came to me and said, with his letter of resignation, he threw it in front of my face and said, hey, if you so desperately want to go for this challenge, I give you a 3-year period of unpaid leave. You are entitled to go, but you have to promise me that you're coming back, because in 3 years, I will have the challenge that you're looking for. So said and done. So I went to the Caribbean. We had a wonderful time with the kids, because, you know, the Caribbean, it's always sunny. They have this clear blue skies and this clear blue sea. So I did everything there. Caribbean dancing. I even speak the language of the Caribbean. It's a mix of language. I did Caribbean cooking. We did dancing classes, the bachata, all the Spanish dances we learned. And we stayed there for about, I think, 16 or 17 months. And then the principal of the school in Netherlands called me, Martin, I think I have a nice challenge for you.
Okay.
Are you ready to come back? I said, well, yeah, I think so, because I know the island, I know what I've been doing there, and I'm ready here. So yeah, sure, I come back. He asked me to become the work placement coordinator of the whole school. That means responsible for the process of guiding students in work placement. The preparatorial phase, you know, give them the information about internships, helping them to find internships, the quality standards, the assignments and the evaluation of the students, and quality management of about 2,500 students. So I start building up the process together with some educational teams, and I went back to the Netherlands to work as a work placement coordinator, and that was in, I think, 2000. Yeah, 2000, year 2000. Then I was work placement coordinator, and I built this job up in 5 years. And in the meantime, I went back to university and got my degree for marketing and communication, because I wanted to develop some other skills. I did it part-time, 1 day a week. I went to school, and the other 4 days I was working. I was doing my 40 hours in just 4 days. And I graduated as a marketing bachelor in marketing and communication. And then the principal of the school, he said, hey, we need a marketing advisor and a PR person for the school. Do you think you can do it? So yeah, I think so. Would you like to combine this marketing and communication together with work placement? Yeah, sure. That's what I did up to 2007, I think, from 2000 to 2007. Then I was asked to work on internship policy for 6 different programs, for healthy and beauty, for fashion, for hospitality and tourism, for trade, and for facilities. So the whole process that I had developed regarding work placement and quality assurance in these departments, I did over there. And then in 2004, I came in contact with a guy, because besides this, my hobby also involves. If you look at my total life, my private life, my work and my hobby go,
Exactly.
there's no separation, right? Because you have to find the chances when they come up to you. And if you only think in boxes, nothing is going to happen. So I learned also to mingle these 3 worlds together. In 2003, I was at a convention of a very famous band. I'm a great fan of this band. It's called Queen. The lead singer died in 1991 of the consequences of HIV. And I get in contact with his former personal assistant. His name was Peter Freestone. And I was attending to one of the conventions. And I said, hey, can you tell me something about what were the favorite dishes of Freddie Mercury? I said, yeah, sure. And okay. Said, I think about an idea in a fundraising project for the HIV Foundation. Are you interested? And he's, sure, I'm interested. So I said, okay, I need from you about, let's say, 15 different recipes from the favorite food from Freddie Mercury. And I'm going to develop a cooking course for people who would like to attend. they have to pay money for attend to this cooking course, and all the outcome will go to the HIV Foundation in the Netherlands. I did this for the first time in 2004, so I gave about 10,000 euros for the HIV Foundation. And I repeated in 2006, then we gained 25,000 euro for the HIV Foundation. And in, I think, 2008, I did it for the last time, then we gained 55,000 euro for the HIV Foundation. Wow. And this is also, how was I getting connected to this band? Because during these sessions, the cooking classes, people were cooking a 3-course menu at my school, and it was served in our restaurant, and people were able to either attend to the cooking classes or attending to just have the dinner. And on Friday night we organized a sort after party. And some of my acquaintances attended me to, hey, you should ask this band if they are willing to perform on this session. And I asked this band if they are willing to perform for free on this after party, and they said, yeah, we want to. So I arranged everything for them, the hotels, you know, the PA, the lighting, and everything they asked for. And in the dressing room there was the special request they had. And then after this gig, I met them again, I think a half year later in Switzerland, Montreux. And then they approached me and said, hey, you're the guy that organized this fundraising for the HIV Foundation. I said, yes. I said, well, we're looking for a manager. Actually, we're looking for a guy like you. Are you interested? I said, sure, why not? But what does a manager does from a band? Because I didn't have a clue. Well, you will find out during the way. And I said, okay, how many gigs do you have per year at that time? Well, you say 4 or 5. I said, okay, let's start. I said, what is your aim? And they looked at me, what do you mean, what is your aim? I said, okay, where do you want to go to? What do you want to achieve? Hey, we didn't have such questions to think about. Hey, so you're hiring me, so I'm choosing for a professional approach. So in 10 years' time, I took them from 5 gigs a year to up to 35 gigs a year. And at that time, they were mainly playing nationally, but I took them to Barcelona, I took them to London, I took them to Spain, Croatia, Iceland. I took them all over Europe, and this was fun. You know, touring with a rock band, and as a manager, standing not in the front, but just behind and see everything happening. And you can look behind the stage through the audience and see everybody enjoying and smiling. Yeah. This also has to do with service.
That's just because of you and your initiative, right?
Yeah.
So that's really nice knowing your 7 years, you know, the cycle in just 7-3 minutes.
Few minutes.
Yeah.
So yes, कार्यक्रम अब पालो भएको छ एउटा ब्रेकमा जाने कार्यक्रम के आज घरमै तपाईं यतिखेर हेर्दै हुनुहुन्छ, and we are with Mr. Martin. So we have lots and lots of questions to ask him. More stay with us कार्यक्रममा. We are heading for a break.
Welcome back. You're watching Ke Aaja Ghar Mai with Deepanjali and me, Sagarika, and today we are in conversation with Mr. Martin. Once again, welcome to our show. So you're here all the way from Netherlands, and we're so happy to have you here. And you know, we were listening to your journey, your professional journey. You know, such a colorful career, professional life that you've had, and you know, the way you say it, I'm very impressed and it's very inspiring, because you know, your story, it inspires us to take risks, to, you know, to say yes to new challenges and to move forward. So yes, we were talking about your journey, and we learned about your journey till you became a band manager for the band Queens, and now then you started becoming, I mean, you were into a university lecturer. So tell us a little about it as well.
I work as a teacher at the secondary vocational school myself, and then I started to write in from PUM, and I will tell you more about PUM later. But PUM is an organization that sends out experts, educational experts, to all over the world. They are active in 35 countries, and the first mission I was accepting was to the first university of Africa in Morocco, Tanger. And Morocco is a French-speaking country, and I was asked to give lectures there as a host teacher about tourism and about hospitality to students from the 5th grade, from the last semester. They were right for their exams, to inspire them and also to teach them something about leadership. Actually, that is how I got connected to, you know, the universal part of my lectures, my teaching, using practical examples from my own life as input for my colleges. So that's how I started, and it gave me the opportunity to get to know the culture of a different country. And the most important thing, because I'm a foodie, is try the food of the country. And also train my language skills. So I was offering colleges and classes at this university for about 12 days, several subjects, and getting interactive with the students. And these students were so enthusiastic, and they were so motivated and eager. So after class, they said, hey, can we please have your details, because we want to have some more information, and you're telling us the real story, because so far we only hearing stories from people that are really not connected to the sector. And so that's how I start, giving lectures at universities. This I've done now in Morocco, I've done in other countries. Lately I've been in a college here, I've given lectures about hospitality and tourism, and not only for the students, but also for the staff. Because, I think mainly for the teachers, and that's why I got this into this lectural part. Besides that, I'm involved in a lot of activities also in my own country, because if you look at the questions that we are standing now for today, for the road to next economy, that means that, okay, I think in 30 years' time the world will contain about 9 billion people or something. So we have some main issues when it comes to enough food for everybody, enough drinking water for everybody, clean energy, and stop, polluting our environment, because otherwise this world won't be here in 30 years of time. So we have to change the mindset of, at first, the academic level, I think, to start thinking about these issues and start thinking about the planet that we are living on, that we have to take care of it in a different way. And also, and that's typical Dutch, why fight a nation if you can trade with it? Because the world is getting smaller and smaller. So I think one of the main issues that we should work together more and more, and not trying to change each other, but try to understand each other and see the differences, and also respect the differences in culture. Because I'm Dutch and I'm totally different than you. I'm way more direct in my approach, and you will have a different culture and a different background, but it doesn't mean that we can learn from each other. And that's what I try to do. This message I'm sending out as part of my, you call it assignment, but the things, I want to make a difference in this. And sometimes on these trips you meet people that you get also inspired, because we know to find each other in the world and think about these issues. And stop being narrow-minded. If something is wrong in the economy, we blame it on a certain group of people. Because, hey, we all have the responsibility to make this a better place. And I'm not even religious. I have no religious background, but I believe in humanity.
Exactly. So yes, the other thing I wanted to ask you is, like, in Asia, normally we parents, we are very sensitive about raising our kids, and they are spoon-fed, and even we parents, they feed them. We are really scared of, making them independent. Maybe they'll get hurt, even for the small household things or something like that. So I wanted to ask you, how did you raise your children? Your personal parenting experience.
You know how we called it, the way you raised them? The silver spoon syndrome.
Yeah.
That means that we don't learn them that they are entitled to make their own mistakes. Instead of that, we prevent them, we let them make mistakes, we try to prevent them to make mistakes, so they won't learn. Because the only way you learn that the stove where you're cooking your food on is hot if you burn your finger on it. A young kid will only learn when he burns his finger on it. There's nothing wrong with burning your finger, it will heal. Yeah. Of course, you have to be careful, but not too careful. I taught my kids to be independent as fast as possible. And also, I taught them some lessons helping by not helping them. Because if the kid asks something, it's not like we are the servant, or we are the answering machine, or we are the solution to their problems. No, we have to let them think for themselves. If they ask a question, you should ask a question back.
Exactly.
That's what I do as a teacher as well. I'm not providing answers. They can Google if they want, but I provide questions. And then they start to think, something happening's up there. Yeah. And that's what we want to achieve. Same with development of kids, we are too protective, so as soon as they are out on their own, they will fail anyway. Because where's Mother Goose to take care of them? Right? And
Exactly.
as long as we keep them close to us, they won't grow. And a part of, breeding is letting go your kids. And you can start as not soon enough with it. The first 12 years in breeding your kids is essential, because that's we call programming. In the first 12 years, you can put everything in it what you want. You know, your values, family values, knowledge, habits, rules, everything. But by the time they get 12, they get into their puberty, they're totally changing. And you lose them for about a year or 6. And if you're lucky, between this period in 12 and 20, nothing severe is going to happen. Because this is the time that they are going to experiment. They are going to experiment with alcohol. They're going to experiment with maybe drugs. They're going to experiment with maybe sex. They have to, because that's part of growing up. So I think that instead of trying to keep them around us, let them go, let them explore the world, and let them also learn from their failure. Because that's the best way to learn. Because if you burn your finger to the stove, you won't touch it again. And also explain them why. And not because I tell you to, because that's the traditional rule. Why I cannot do this?
Yeah.
Because I tell you to. No, explain why. And start discussing with your kids. And also, sometimes you have to negotiate. If you want to get things done, you have to negotiate. But don't forget, you lose them between their 12 and 18. You lose them totally. If you had the time to put your mark or your stamp on it, you have until they're 12 years old. And so that's important. And also, my kids were making my breakfast when they were 4 years old.
Wow.
They were cutting oranges, they were pressing oranges, they were making coffee, they were boiling eggs, because I taught them. I taught them, hey, come on, stand next to me to the kitchen. Now you take the knife. You cut the orange. This is the way we do it. Instead, oh, no, don't touch the knife.
Oh.
Because if we learn them to be afraid of something, we undertake them from their curiosity. And what we have to do is to feed the curiosity. That's what we have to do. So, and feeding curiosity is taking risk.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe after I return home, in the afternoon,
After
maybe
the show,
after the show, maybe I should ask them to make something for me. So yes, with this note, we are having a very, very wonderful and interesting conversation with Mr. Martin, and we will be right back. कार्यक्रम के आज घर में लियौं एउटा छोटो ब्रेक.
Welcome back. You're watching Ke Aaja Ghar Mai, and today we are in conversation with Mr. Martin over here. So yes, we were talking about hospitality as well, since that is your expertise, and we know that Nepal is also actually doing really well in hospitality and tourism fields. Over the years, it has been doing amazing. So how do you observe the quality of our workforce here in Nepal?
Okay, if I look at the intention of delivering hospitality, there's nothing wrong with that. I think we can learn from you. But if I look at the quality of the skills that people have that are in the industry, that's, I think, you have to work on for the forthcoming years. And what I would hope to see, and that's the thing that I would like to work on, is that the whole vocational pyramid from high to low start collaborating with each other and not seeing each other as competitors. And also that the sector will take their responsibility and also take their part in getting people ready for vocational education. Because although sometimes we might be seeing each other as competitors, we also can learn from each other and collaborate with each other. So one of my goals, but I'm here just a short time, and I hopefully just can maybe address some people and give some input to people to how to take the next step. And if they don't know how to take the next step, of course I'm willing to guide them. But I think it would be essential for Nepal that they will get a qualification structure regarding to vocational education, and also start working together, the hospitality sector and the sector itself. Because like I said earlier, the sector will decide what is needed, what kind of skills, what kind of attitude, and what kind of knowledge people need to have. This can only be made in co-production. And also, the sector should be aware that if I want to maintain staff in my company, I have to treat them well. Because if I treat my staff well, my staff will treat my customers well.
Exactly. Yes.
And I think you have to work on that, because if I look at labor conditions in your sector, you can improve a little on that. And also, don't be afraid to share knowledge, because I think there's a bit scaredness in sharing knowledge, that people are afraid that they are going to lose their own job. You won't lose your job when you share knowledge. No, you will maybe gain a new job. And this is the message that I want to give.
Exactly. So we would also like you to share about your organization PUM that has been training many people from so many parts of the world, and recently you are here working for it in Nepal as well. So can you please tell us something about it?
Yeah.
And your future plans
Yeah.
for this?
PUM as an organization is funded by the Dutch government, by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and also by the Minister of Economic Development. And also we are trying to get some private sponsors. And we have about, I'd say, 2,000 volunteers. People that are going on a mission where they are asked, in at this moment 35 different countries. And there are different kinds of expertise in this 2,000 volunteers. Hospitality, tourism, but also agriculture, also finance, also banking, also insurance, electrical, logistics, safety, you know, all the expertise is there. And what PUM actually does is we support small and medium enterprises that cannot afford to hire an expensive consultancy to gain new knowledge in his company, or give him advice, or give training. So what PUM does, in every country there's a local representative. Here in Nepal is a local representative in Kathmandu. Her name is Ladjali. It's a very nice person, and she is talking with companies that are in urge for external advice, external help, that they cannot pay by themselves. If this comes to this local representative, she contacts the head office in PUM, and we're working with country coordinators and sector coordinators. The country coordinator is looking at the question of the local representative and say, okay, this is something for hospitality. Then they contact the expert of the field, and then they're going to look in this database of 2,000 experts who might be the person that can help them with this question or solving this problem. And throughout this database of 2,000 experts, there's so much variety of expertise. These are all senior entrepreneurs or senior experts. Most of the time, the minimum age of these people is 50 years old. I was one of the youngest when I started with PUM. I think I was 47 or something, because I said, why would I wait to start doing this wonderful work until I reach the age of 50?
Exactly.
Because I'm still of relevancy because I work in the sector. So PUM provides assistance and support and knowledge. We don't give money. We can help them to maybe get products, to get them into contact with the right suppliers. Sometimes we organize a business link. That means people from Nepal can come to Netherlands and see how we do things in our country. So this is actually what PUM is doing. And regarding to my future plans for the future, you know, I'm trying to aim for 100 countries to visit before I die.
Wow.
And
you have almost like visited more than 40 countries, right?
Countries also.
So
Yeah.
the rest 60 countries, maybe in future, hopefully. So you'll definitely visit all of them. So yes, Mr. Martin, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wonderful ideas about your PUM and your initiative that you have been taking for the vocational education here in Nepal as well. So thank you so much for being here.
thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And hope to see you again sometime.
Well,
Sure.
definitely. And we had a wonderful time learning from all your life experiences as well. It was such an interesting one. And yes, but I think as about to say, our viewers are vocational training is, the last option. It's actually a very good thing to enhance your career, for your, to secure career. Vocational education is a good thing. I think that is the message that we would want to give.
Exactly. So not only that, Sagarika, what I noticed is, academics कम मार्क्स आयो भने के गर्ने त लेट्स गो फर प्र्याक्टिकल थिङ्स अर भोकेसनल एजुकेसनमा लागौँ भन्ने चाहिँ नि त्यो पनि हामी एउटा लास्ट अप्सनमा राख्छौँ हैन तर इट्स नट द्याट तपाईको इन्ट्रेस्ट छ तपाईले चाहिँ नि आफ्नो भनौँ न भोकेसनल एजुकेसनमा स्किल्सलाई डेभलप गर्नुभयो भने डेफिनेटली यु क्यान अर्न मोर देन व्हाट एकाडेमिकली रिच पिपल क्यान अर्न राइट सो यस विथ दिस नोट वी हेभ अलमोस्ट कम टु द एन्ड अफ आवर शो टुडे थ्याङ्क यू फर बिङ विथ अस थ्याङ्क यू फर वाचिङ एन्ड कार्यक्रममा भोलि पनि हामी आउने नै छौँ
Yes, so we'll be back tomorrow, but अहिलेको लागि it's time for us to say bye-bye. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Hi everybody, I'm Sagarika.
And this is me, Laurisa. And if you like Ke Aaja Ghar Mai on Kantipur Television HD,
then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.
Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And don't forget to download our app.
Bye-bye.
Bye.